It was great to see you in Hawaii, just not even quite 6 months ago in person. And now, of course, I'm seeing you in almost person, in person like.
There's no guarantee that what you saw 6 months ago is any more than this.
Well, there's very little guarantee of anything, especially nowadays. But
Oh, yeah.
while we are alive and able to think and talk, we are also able to sing and also able to repeat the holy name of the Supreme.
Yes.
And this is what we should be doing.
Absolutely.
And I would like to salute your Guruji, Neem Karoli Baba, who I see behind you, who I have the greatest respect for, and it's always a great pleasure to have his darshan.
Good. Yeah. Got my back.
Yes, he does.
And I need it. Yeah, so many changes in just 6 months. Ram Dass has left us and KK left us. Amazing. So many things go so fast. And then now the world is just in a spin. Whew.
I have been thinking a lot about the Ramayana recently, and particularly about the Sundarkand. Because, Sita Devi was captured by a Rakshasa. And it's very much like the world has been captured by a Rakshasa. And Sita Devi was kept in the Ashokavana, the forest of grieflessness.
Yeah.
And we are, however, in the Shokavana, the forest of grief, because we're not Sita, and we are, however, very much surrounded by all kinds of demons and demonesses, and it's very uncertain as to what's going to happen next. And we're looking for Rama, but we don't even know. Maybe Rama has forgotten us. Maybe we're going to be here, and Ravana is continuing to continuing to threaten to do all kinds of things to us, and we're thinking about what might happen next, and can we go on? And then, of course, Hanumanji shows up and catches Sita's attention and shows her Rama's ring, so that then she recognizes that, yes, Rama is still there. Rama has not forgotten her. Rama is on the way. And it's that moment where things start moving in the right direction.
Yeah.
Which, of course, is why so many people read the Sundarakand, the part of the Ramayana where this happens, and as an upaya, as a remedy for Shani and Rahu and problems in general. Because and here we are in a place where we're isolated, and we're, even when we get out into the world, we're still always going to be wondering, where is that demon that might kidnap us and take us away from everything that we are familiar with, and everything that we know and love. And the only answer to this is Ramanama. So if you know the Ramayana, you can, or you have access to the Ramayana, you can read or chant the Sundarakand, or if you can't do that much, you can read or chant the Chalisa, and if you can't do that much, you can read or chant the holy name of Rama.
And if you can't do that, just like the original poet who wrote the Ramayana couldn't do it at first. He was asked to repeat it backwards, mara, mara, which means to die, die, die.
Yes.
And over thousands of years, Rama, mara, 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 it turned into Ram, and he was liberated.
It did take him 60,000 years.
Oh, I thought.
But at least it was
10,000.
only 60,000 years. It was not more than that. It was not 600,000 years.
In those days, that's how long the movies used to be, right? 60,000.
Yes, yes, they were 60. Thank goodness there were several intermissions during the movie.
Yes, yes. You know, I visited Chitrakoot many years ago. I was in Allahabad at Dada's house, and Dada was an old devotee of Maharajji's, and we went to Chitrakoot with the Tiwaris, and we went up to a hill called Hanuman Dhara. And supposedly, after finding Sita and giving her Ram's message that he hadn't forgot her and he was going to come and free her from Ravana, he burnt Lanka down. He burnt the whole Rama's kingdom down while he was leaving. And of course, Sita was protected in that grove. So then it's said that he flew to Chitrakoot and landed on this mountain called Hanumandara, and he pounded on the ground and a stream came up. And with that water, he cooled himself.
Mm.
So Maharajji had told this story to Dada while they were at that place. And after he said the story, Dada told me, Maharajji said, just kind of as if talking to himself, he said, but Hanumanji was always at peace. So that's the key to a lot of things.
Yes.
He was always at peace. Even while he was burning Lanka, he was always at peace and at oneness with Ram. Because none of it, he had no personal agenda other than to serve Ram. So there was nothing going on. He was always right there at that place. That's a beautiful story. And that's a Sita Rasoi, Sita's kitchen, they call it.
Yes.
Yeah.
I've only been to Chitrakoot once, and that was, I don't know, 30 years ago probably. But I always liked it because it was not, at least at that time, it was not as fancy as many of these big temples and pilgrimage sites. It was still...
No, it's very rural. Very
rural.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Now it's built up, and you can't even see the river anymore. You have to go through ashrams and everything. It's crazy. So yes, Ram Nam, Ram Nam. Maharajji said over and over to us, he said, Ram Nam karne se sab pura ho jate hai. From going on repeating these names, Rama, the names of God, everything is accomplished. Everything's brought to fullness and completion. He said this many times to us.
I like the way he said that. He could have said anything, but he said pura ho jate, and pura means filled, or pura means completed, or pura means, from purna, it means that it has, whatever was missing has come into it. So I think nowadays probably many people are thinking that they're missing something. Because of course we can't go where we wanted to, and we can't do what we wanted to, and we're separated often from people we had not been separated from. But it's good to remember that the only thing that will complete whatever we feel is not completed is Ram, the name of Ram.
And of course, that's always true. It's just that in situations like this, this is very rare, of course, very super intense, it's always true. If we're looking outside of ourselves for completion or real love, real happiness, real peace, we'll never find it.
Many people still believe that they can find it externally, and I think until this started, there was sort of there was momentum that the people who were making money out of having the world be the way that it was were able to convince many people that satisfaction was to be had outside you. But
yeah. And you know, great siddhas like the Rolling Stones have been telling us all along that you can't get no satisfaction.
yes.
But we don't listen.
And I very much enjoyed the Rolling Stones on that. I forget the name of it, but there was a concert of a bunch of people last month from different places, and they sang that that excellent mantra: "You can't always get what you want, but you can certainly, absolutely get what you need, as long as you understand that what you really need is Rama."
Yeah. Well, even if you just accept that you can get the teachings that you need, even if you're not getting the pleasure that you want or getting rid of the suffering that you want to be rid of in the worldly sense, you can still, you're still getting what you need to move along the path and to wake up. We are still getting what we need. Should we, it is Tuesday, Hanuman's Day.
Yes.
Should we try to sing a little chalisa?
Yes,
or even
please.
a medium-sized chalisa?
Yes, even a tiny one.
A tiny one. The only question for us, everybody, I should say, is we do have some trouble with Zoom and music. So it's possible that the sound is going to not be so good for this, but it won't last.
I'm gonna mute myself just in case possibly that will help the situation.
In fact, it does sometimes help. If everybody, if you mute yourself, well, if you mute yourself, you'll never know what's going on. But if you stop your video, that's a better thing. While the chant is going on, and then when it's over, come back on video. That might help the sound a little bit. So if you can do that, that would be helpful. Shri Guru Charana Saroja Raja Nijamanam Kuru Sudhar Varano Raghuvara Bimala Jasu Chodhaya Kupalachar Buddhihina Tanu Janake Sumeram Pavana Kumar Siyaram Pallabudhi Vidya Dehu Mohi Haruhu Kalesa Bikar Syavara Ramachandra Padaje Sharanam. Jayanuman Gyana Guna Saga Shekha Pisati Hun Loka Ujara Ramadurta Tulta Baladham Anjani Putra Pavana Sutanam Mahavira Bikram Bajarangi Mati Nivar Sumati Ke Sangi Kanchana Varana Viraja Subesa Kanana Kundara Kanchita Kesa Hat Bajrora Dvaja Viraja Kanthe Munja Jane Usaje Shankara Suvana Kesari Nandan Eja Pratap Mahajagabanda Vidyavan Guni Ati Chatu Rama Kaja Karibe Ko Atu Prabhu Charitra Sunibe Korasiya Rama Lakana Sita Manabasi Sukshma Rupa Darisya Hindikav Vikata Rupa Daralanka Jarav Bhima Rupa Dari Asura Sanhari Ramachandra Ke Kaja Samvari Aya Sajivana Lakana Jaya Shira Govira Shira Lai Raghupati Kini Bhort Barai Mama Priya Varatai Samabhai Sabadan Tumharo Chasagan Asakari Shri Pati Kanta Laga Sanakadika Brahmadi Munisa Arad Sharad Sahita Ahisa Yamakumbera Digapal Jahante Kabiko Bidakaya Sake Kahante Upakar Sugriva Inkina Rama Melaya Rajapadadina Maro Mantra Bibishanaman Ankeshwara Bhai Sabajagajana Gasahasra Jojana Paravan Ilyotahi Palajan Prabhu Mudrika Ele Mukamahi Chaladilange Gaya Charajanahi Durgama Kaja Jagata Kejete Sugamanugra Marete Amaduare Tumarakovare Otanagya Pinupesari Sab Suklahe Tumhari Sharan Marachakaka Ukodaran Apana Teja Samaro Ape Tino Loka Hankaten Kante Bhuta Pisashan Katnahi Ave Mahavira Jabanam Sunave Ase Roga Hare Sabapira Chapat Nirantara Hanumatavira Sankatate Hanuman Churave Anakrama Bhachana Dhyana Jolave Sabapararam Tapasvi Raja Tinake Kaja Sakal Tumasaja Or Manoratha Joko Elave Sove Amita Jivan Palapave Chao Yuga Paratap Tumara He Pardasiddha Jagata Ujiyara Sadhu Santa Ke Marakavare Surane Kandan Ramadulare Ashta Siddhino Nidike Dasa असवर दीन जानकी माता, राम रसायन तुम्हारे पास, सदा रहो रघुपति के दास। तुम्हारे भजन राम को पावे, जन्म जन्म के दुख बिसरावे। अंत काल रघुबर पुर जाय, जहाँ जन्म हर भक्त कहाय। और देवता चित्तन धरई, हनुमत से सर्व सुख करई। संकट कटे मिटे सब पीर, जो सुमिरै हनुमत बलबीर। जय 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 हनुमान गोसाई, कृपा करो गुरुदेव की नाई। जो सतबार पाठ कर को, छुत ही बंदी महासुख होय। जो यह पर हनुमान चालीसा, होया सिद्धि साकी गौरीस। तुलसीदास सदा हरिचेर, कीजे नाथ हृदय मंदिर। पवन तनय संकट हरण, मंगल मूर्ति रूप सिया राम। राम लखन सीता सहित, हृदय बसहु सुरभूप। सियावर रामचंद्र पद जय शरणम। मंगल मूर्ति मारुत नंदन, सकल मंगल मूल निकंदन। मंगल मूर्ति मारुत नंदन, सकल मंगल मूल निकंदन। श्री राम जय जय राम, श्री राम जय जय राम। श्री राम जय जय राम, श्री राम जय श्री राम जय जय राम। श्री राम जय जय राम। सीताराम 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 जय सीताराम। सीताराम 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 जय सीताराम। श्री राम जय जय राम। श्री राम जय जय राम। श्री राम जय राम। श्री राम जय जय राम। श्री राम जय राम। जय बजरंग बली हनुमान, संकट मोचन कृपा निधान। जय बजरंग बली हनुमान, संकट मोचन कृपा निधान। जय बजरंग बली हनुमान, करुणा सागर कृपा निधान। जय Bajrangabali Hanuman Sankatamochana Shri Ram Jaya Ram Jai Jai Ram Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Shri Ram Jaya Ram Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Shri Ram Jai Ram Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai 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 Jai Ram Syawara Ramachandra ki Jai. Robert, what do you think about, there's a line in the Hanuman Chalisa that goes, oh. Ram duare tum rakware, hotana agya binu pezare. This says Hanuman is the guard at the door to Ram's abode, and no one can enter without him giving the go-ahead.
Well, well, Anjaneya, or Hanumanji, is totally and completely devoted to Rama. And as I was taught, Rama is everywhere. That means Rama is inside you as well as outside you. And if you're trying to connect to the internal Rama, and Rama represents the supreme reality, then Hanuman, Anjaneya, represents the prana in your body, the life force, the reason why we're all alive. And the reason why we're alive is because our job as living beings is to reflect as much as we can, as best we can, the reality of that supreme awareness that is Rama. So if we're looking at the Rama on the inside and the Hanuman on the inside, we have to bring our attention and make it focused to the degree, oh, okay, maybe not completely to the degree that Hanuman is focused, because that's a supreme degree. But we have to focus it as much as we can so that we can align ourselves with that degree of focus of Hanuman. And if we can do that, then there's hope that we'll be able to enter into that, pass through that threshold, over that threshold, through that gateway that will take us to that experience of Rama. Because I believe that without that we can certainly, there's always juice to be had in singing Rama's name, because that's it's a name that reflects that reality. But to be able to not only taste that juice occasionally, but to be able to become that juice occasionally, that means we have to get even closer to Rama than we usually can in our limited personalities, our limited beings. And so for me, I think it's a great blessing that Hanuman exists, and Hanuman is said to be a Chiranjeevi, to be immortal, because yes, he's guarding the door of Rama, but he's not only keeping out the people who are not focused on Rama, he's letting in the people who are focused on Rama. He's not like the two idiots that were guarding Vishnu's door, who when the four Kumaras came, who ended up as Ravana and Kumbhakarna.
That's right. Yeah.
He's an authentic Dwarapala. He's an authentic door guard who knows what he's doing.
A gentle but firm bouncer.
A gentle but firm bouncer, exactly. The supreme bouncer. I mean, the bouncer that any nightclub owner would want to employ permanently.
Yeah. That's true. Funny. Yeah. There's in the Hanumat Stoan, which is this prayer that I sing every day and before I chant. It says, I meditate upon Hanuman with ruddy face and a body that glows like a mountain of gold, who can bestow all boons and fulfill all desires, and who resides under the Parijata tree. I bow to Hanuman, who goes wherever Ram's name is chanted, bowing in reverence, eyes filled with tears of love, head bent in adoration, and who is known as the slayer of demons. When I first read that, I went, oh, because when Hanuman doesn't have some service to do for Ram, he's absorbed in love. He's just immersed in the love. And he's sitting under that tree just with eyes filled with tears of love. When he has something to do, he does it. But that's his only desire, is to serve Ram. So it was a powerful meditation for me. I said, oh, when you're not busy, serving, you're immersed in love completely. Somebody said that even when Hanumanji was busy beating up the demons and jumping over the ocean, he was surrounded by the color of Ram. He was never outside of Ram. Never for a minute could he be outside of Ram. And he knew that. And there's a beautiful bhajan to Hanuman. It goes, Kapise urena hamanahi. I can never repay the debt that I owe to this monkey. And this is in Ram's words. He's singing this. He jumped over the ocean, he killed the demons, he found Sita, he did this, and not once did pride arise in his mind. Did the thought of that I am the doer.
Not even once.
He knew reality fully, and he never was out of that.
And that allowed him to maintain a state of equanimity at all times.
Yeah.
He didn't even think, oh my God, they're setting my tail afire. He didn't care about that. He was focused on Rama. He may have noticed, they're setting my tail on fire. Excellent. Now I can burn down Lanka. What a great situation.
Yeah.
other than that, he does not waste even the slightest moment thinking about himself.
Yeah.
He thinks only about how may I serve Rama.
And within us, Ram is that indwelling presence, and Hanuman is the strength to overcome our obstacles, the obstacles that prevent us from knowing that reality. So when we focus on Hanuman, we are increasing that, the power and the inner strength that we have as people to overcome our inertia and craziness, you know.
And sometimes, of course, sometimes that's not easy to do.
Sometimes.
Well, I see one question here that possibly is a good question to bring up right now. From someone who grew up in a family that was angry at God and blamed God for creating this world of suffering. So the question is, how can I believe in or experience God as love when I feel all of this baggage of darkness that says God is to blame for this suffering world?
Good question.
And it's a very good question. It's a very strong question. It's one that's been asked many times and will be asked again. And I think that that's part of the message of the Ramayana, that Rama himself did not have an easy life. Okay, yes, he was born as a king, but he had to go wander in the forest for 14 years, and his wife was stolen, and he had to figure out a way to go and bring her back, and then various other things happened afterwards, and he had a very challenging life, and Sita had an even more challenging life. And all of the Bharat had everyone was dear to Rama, and Rama was dear to everyone, and there was, people were separated, and there was misery, and it's I think that's an important part of the message of the Ramayana, that it's at those moments when, like Sita, you're in a place where it looks like there is no hope whatsoever. But there's still life, and where there's life, there's hope. And why is there hope? Because there's still life. Because there is prana, and that's, Hanuman represents that life force. There is always the possibility that things can move in the right direction. As long as you're alive, there's always the possibility for you to find your way. You can't ever tell what's going to happen next. And I think sometimes the most important thing to do is not convince yourself that God exists, but at least be aware that many of the things you're telling yourself may not be true, especially if they have to do with questions of, why did God do this and why did God do that? Because understanding the nature of reality and what's going on, it's a very, very difficult thing. I don't try to do it because it's too big for me. But I do find that if I go inside and I try to connect with Hanuman, for example, try to connect with my prana and just try to feel that dedication to the focus on reality that is characteristic of the life force itself, of prana. I don't need to think about what God is doing or who God is, or it's that life force without which there would be, none of us would be here. It's that life force, who is Hanuman himself, that reassures me that no matter what is happening otherwise, ultimately, we are moving in the right direction.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that this is why it's so useful to repeat the name of Rama, even if you don't believe in Rama, or even if you think that no matter if you're drowning and you find something to grab hold on of, like a life preserver, you don't have to believe in the life preserver. You just have to grab hold of it.
Yeah. Nor do you have to know how it works.
Nor do you have to know how it works. There's that famous story of Markandeya, who was a great devotee of Shiva, Om Namah Shivaya. And his father, Mrukandu Rishi, didn't have a child, so he did penance for a long time. And eventually somebody came down and said, Varambruhi, ask for a boon. And Mrukandu said, I would very much like to have a child. And Brahma, or whoever it was, said, well, you have a choice. And your choices are, you can have a son who will be a complete drop kick, totally useless, will have all the bad qualities, but will live for 120 years or maybe longer. Or you can have a son who is a paragon of virtues, who is the best possible child ever, and he will die at age 16. So Mrukandu thought about it for a moment, and then he said, I'll take the good son, and we'll see what happens. So the son was born, and as soon as the son could understand anything, Mrukandu said to him, kid, here's the deal. You've only got 16 years. So between now and then, you had better start worshiping Lord Shiva, because here is this Shiva Linga over here. And when Yama, the god of death, comes from you, do not think about anything else. Do not think about anything else. Grab hold of that Shiva Linga and hold on to it for dear life. Do not even think about the Shiva Linga. Just think about holding on. And lo and verily, and behold, at age 16, Yama came. And here was this very horrible looking character riding on a buffalo and with a noose, who was going to throw it around Markandeya's neck and drag him away. And Markandeya said, no, I shall hold on to the Shiva Linga. And he held on to the Shiva Linga, and the noose was around his neck, and Yama was pulling. Markandeya was holding. Yama was pulling. Markandeya was holding. And after quite a while, Yama finally had to give up, because Shiva was protecting Markandeya. And Shiva and Yama are the same thing, except that Shiva is a more transcendent version of Yama. So eventually Shiva said to Yama, okay, the tug of war, it was amusing for a while, but it's over now. Markandeya belongs to me. Hit the road, bub. You may be part of me, but I'm in the charge. So scram. And Markandeya became immortal because of holding on, not trying to be fancy, not trying to. And this is why Vimalananda, my mentor, said, unless you're you're a professional tantric, don't try to have too many mantras. Have one mantra. Focus on reciting that mantra with complete faith and attention. Just keep reciting it again and again and over. Align your prana with that mantra. Connect to the Shakti of that mantra. And he would always say, Bhakti is Shakti. Bhakti is Shakti. If you really want Shakti, then you should have devotion. You should have Bhakti.
Yeah. That brings up a good point too about a lot of people do a lot of pranayama, a lot of exercises, a lot of, and they're craving Shakti, but they don't have any Bhakti really. And it's very, that's a setup for a lot of suffering, I think. Because it's only the devotion, the love that softens and lubricates the heart and allows the Shakti to pass through and to just, to move. Without that devotion, it tends to just give you more bigger, stronger, fancier, shinier walls around your ego. So that's, I think so many of the saints in this age, they say that this is, the name bhakti and practice of devotion is the only way that's going to work for us in this short time that we have in our lives in this age. So it's a good, but whatever you do, one should do it with some kind of devotion. It can mean intensity, it can mean integrity, it can mean so many things, but in some way we've got to bypass the big me in everything we do. Not easy.
Not at all easy. And I would like to reinforce what you say 1,000,000 times or more, because that's exactly what happens, especially nowadays when you don't have bhakti and you're collecting Shakti. And there's so many ways to collect Shakti. There's beauty Shakti and money Shakti and information Shakti and fame Shakti, all kinds of Shaktis. But most of them are connected to the big me, which is really the little tiny me who thinks it's the big me. And that's always coming from the wrong perspective. That always has the wrong priorities. And that will always create problems. When you follow Shakti without first bowing down that interior personality that is convinced that it knows what's going on, then there's always going to be trouble. Vimalananda used to talk about a saint named Baba Chandala Dasa. Chandala means an eater of dogs. So in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, you should look with equanimity, samatha, on a sage, a dog, and an eater of dogs. And eaters of dogs have always been regarded as being the absolute lowest of the low. Not only are you eating man's best friend, but man's best friend is part of the sewer system in India. So you're eating basically, it's not good what you're eating when you eat a dog. So, and why was he called Baba Chandal Das? Because he was a devotee of Shiva in the form of a Chandala, in the form of a dog eater. And it's said that when Shankaracharya, Adi Shankaracharya, who lived 1,300 years ago, when he went to Benares, he was a great saint, but he had to have some of his ego polished off also. And he went to Benares. And Benares, of course, as you well know, is an unusual place. And it's Shiva's place. And Shiva is in charge of everything that happens there. And so Shankaracharya was bathing, and this Chandala was next to him and splashed some water on him. And Shankaracharya said, "Oh, Bo Chandala, what do you think you're doing? I am Shankaracharya, and you are a dog eater. You're splashing water on me." And the Chandala said, "By the way, this is Ganga water, and it's supposed to be purifying everything. So if it is actually purifying everything, it's purifying me too. So what are you making so much noise about?" And Shankaracharya, he was very clever, and he was quick on his feet. He was able to think quickly. He said, "Well, I'm not actually referring to you as being impure. I'm referring to your samskaras, the karmas that you've done in the past, and those karmas are impure." And then the Chandala said, "You are the very person, Shankaracharya, who says that nothing is real except the supreme reality. So in what way is anything that is going on here real except that supreme reality? And you're talking about the supreme reality splashing water on you. Well, why are you making such a big noise?" And then the eyes of Shankaracharya opened, and he realized he was speaking to Shiva himself. And it was that Shiva in the form of the Chandala that Baba Chandal Das was devoted to. And Vimalananda used to say that Baba Chandal Das, what he would say is, "Meri Bhakti, Teri Shakti, Teri Spuran, Meri Vacha, or Meri Kam Safal Ho Jai," which means my bhakti allows me to connect to your Shakti. Because of my bhakti, your Shakti flows through me. It's not my Shakti. I can't do anything other than be open to you, other than be open to allowing your Shakti to flow through me. Your spuran, your inspiration, comes out through my speech, Meri Vacha. And if something needs to happen in a positive way, it will happen just because I am acting as the vehicle for you to do it. Baba Chandal Das. And that has always, and I've always regarded that as being something to aspire to be able to be such a devotee of everything that is the totality of that reality that is Shiva, and to allow that to manifest through me. Not so easy to do, but at least I keep trying.
Ramana Maharshi used to say things like that. People asked him if he had siddhis, and he said, when one has no self, where is there going to be a desire to do anything? He said, but because I know the self, I am the self. So he didn't say it that way, but things happen around me. The Shaktis are present, and they accomplish the work that has to be done. Without my ichcha, without my desire to do it, it's not necessary for me to want that. It just happens. Yeah, they used to say that about Maharaji too, that he had no desire of his own at all, and that he had no awareness of his own body. He had no desire to get up and walk across the courtyard. It was just, it happened through him. Just like this Chandal Das said. Because of his surrender to Ram, because his merging with Ram and Hanumanji.
How fortunate we are to have had individuals like this who have embodied this, that we may not be able to do it perfectly ourselves, but we can see that these were people who could do this. It can be done.
Yeah. Which brings us to a question that I just got here. The eternal question, it seems. Do you think it's necessary to have a master to be in the path of enlightenment? In other words, do you need a guru? So, of course you do. Guru is absolutely necessary. But what we who are attached to our body-mind complex think a guru is not what a guru is. We project, oh, a guru's is perfect, she's perfect, she's going to do everything for me, she's going to open my heart, I'll feel the love, everything will be okay. Not necessarily. First of all, the gurus say, people who know say, God, Guru, and self are not different. They are one thing. And what is that self? That self is Rama. That self is your true nature. As an individual, you can call it Atma. But it's like a number of pools reflecting the moonlight. It's the same light, but it's not the source, but it's a reflection of that same light. So God, Guru, and self are not different. So it's not always for us to meet a being in a body that we would put the Guru label on. And but at the same time, that Guru and that self is within us. And you know what you have to do, so just do it. It's not necessary to know, to get the stamp of approval from someone outside of yourself, so to speak, to be on the path. On one hand, we're all on the path in varying degrees. You know, Bob Thurman told me once, when he met his first guru, Geshe Wangyal, who was a Mongolian Lama, who had a little Tibetan temple in New Jersey that nobody knew about. So Bob went there. He had been living in India, and he'd been offered a job teaching the young tulkus, the young lamas who were just growing up now outside of Tibet. And he had come back to America to get some stuff together, and he was going to go back to India and do this. But some friend of his said, well, you know, there's this Lama living in New Jersey, why don't we go see him? So they went. And they walked in, and there was this little guy sitting there, and they asked him, you know, they could meet the Lama. And he said, yeah, I'm the Lama. And he said, oh. And Bob got this feeling, you know, about this guy. And he said, you're my guru. He said, oh, no, I'm not your guru. I'm not your guru. No, I know. You're my guru. He said, no, I'm not your guru. I'm telling you I'm not your guru. It wouldn't be good if I'm your guru. Why wouldn't it be good? He said, because you're going to do all kinds of shit that's not good to do if you're to your guru. Like you're not going to obey the guru. You're not going to follow instructions. This is not good. He said, no, you're my guru. I said, I'm coming back. He said, no, don't come back. Don't come back. So Bob just said, he knew this was his guru, especially because he didn't want him. You know, he didn't want anything to do with him. He didn't need him. So he went and got his shit together, and he came back. So Geshe Wangyal, he would never let Bob meditate. So Bob would wake up at like at 2 in the morning, sneak out of the house and go into the temple, which was like the garage just next door to the house, in the dark. And he would sit there, he'd cross his legs, take a deep breath, and all the lights would go on, and the Lama would walk in and say, what are you doing? What you doing? Come on, let's have some tea. Come on, get up. What are you doing? Don't waste your time. Come on, come with me. Let's go have some tea. And Bob said, he saved his life, because he had all these ideas about meditation and accomplishing this and having this experience and that experience and entering this samadhi and that samadhi. Geshe Wangyal was not going to let him waste his time getting himself all messed up. It was a great story. Great story. So yes, you know, on one hand, we all have a lineage that we're a part of since the beginning of time. And it's not for everyone to meet somebody outside of yourself in every life. But because the only motivation that a true guru can have is compassion, then if you're meeting your guru in a body, then that was the best thing for you. That was what was necessary. If you're not, then that is necessary. There's no sense pissing and moaning about it. Clean your heart, clean up your life, become a good human being, and develop some kindness and compassion for other people, and you won't worry about anything. So, that's what I say.
Well said.
And I always tell people, you know, we were the people who weren't going to make it. That's why he had to drag our asses over there to India to meet us. The rest of these other people, they're going to be fine. But we, you know, we weren't going to make it without that specific experience.
And I believe, I absolutely believe that that's the case. And of course, just because you meet someone that you think of as a guru,
Right,
doesn't really mean anything. Because of course, especially if you have this idea in your head of what a guru is and how the guru needs to behave and how you need to behave with the guru, and there's all this stuff going on. All of that is interfering with the actual, what you should be obtaining from the guru. And what you should obtain from the guru is the qualities of gunatita, being beyond all qualities, and rupatita, being beyond all form. No gu, no ru. The guru is that which is beyond all name and form, beyond all categories, beyond everything other than consciousness that is not limited in any way. And the word guru in Sanskrit means heavy. And the reason to have a guru is when a disciple is trying to become enlightened. And Vimalananda always said, enlightened doesn't mean that there's, you know, a bunch of people with trumpets and bugles show up and announce to the cosmos that you have gotten somewhere. It means you have lightened yourself of the heavy burden of your karmas. And that means your awareness is now free to soar into the astral regions, into the spiritual regions, and to connect to that reality of Rama. But while this process is happening, while you, the caterpillar, is turning into you, the butterfly, you have to be contained within a cocoon. You need to be weighted down, and that's what the guru does. The guru keeps you from going off in some direction that is going to possibly make you, put you in a very serious and very disjointed or unbalanced condition. And so sometimes it's much better not to have some external focus of guru. Sometimes it's better to find a way to connect, or if it is going to be external as your focus, maybe it should be something that is not a human being. Maybe it should be a tree. Maybe it should be a rock. What is the Shiva Linga? It is
I think that'd be a lot better.
A tree is, I mean, I don't know. Many people, I have some of my best friends are trees, and I've learned very valuable things from those trees. Mm-hmm. And Guru Dattatreya had 24 gurus. None of them knew that they were behaving as his guru. So if you want to learn, you can learn from anywhere.
Yeah.
And if you don't want to learn, and I have seen this in my personal experience with Vimalananda, some human beings were around him for years and were still some of the, I'm just going to use the Hindi word, Sanskrit word, Nietzsche. They were still Nietzsche. And Nietzsche is just like it sounds, low. They were still low, despite having all these opportunities. And around Vimalananda's Guru Maharaj, and around senior Guru Maharaj, and no change whatsoever. So just having a guru doesn't mean anything. Making a commitment to yourself to change means something.
Yeah. I went through more suffering after being with Maharaji, physically, than I went before. What you think is going to happen is not what's going to happen, because anything you think could not be what it is. Like Groucho Marx said, he didn't want to join any club that would actually let him join.
Yes.
Yeah, anything you imagine it to be, guru, God, whatever, believe me, it could never be that, because it's beyond anything you can think of in the conceptual mind. I remember one time I was sitting with Maharaji, like I did every day in those days, and I burst out laughing to myself, because I saw, I take my shower, I put on my clean, holy clothes, and I come and sit in front of him. Well, semi-clean, holy clothes. And I saw this day, I said, I saw that I was expecting my idea of enlightenment was some place that I wouldn't be. Something else, somewhere else, and essentially someone else, because I hated myself. So there's no possibility I was included in happiness, in enlightenment. And I laughed because I saw, if there was one thing that was exactly the opposite of enlightenment, that's it. We're here, we're always going to be here. In one form or another, we're here. Here is where it is. Now is when it is. Do some practice and get your shit together, because there's no other time or place than now. There's no sense moaning and groaning about wanting a teacher and a guru. If it's supposed to happen, it will happen. If it's not going to happen, it's not going to happen. So look at your life and take your life as your teacher. See where you're stuck. See where you hate people. See where you need things. See where you want to hurt others and yourself. See how nasty you are to people, and work on that stuff. That's the practice. We don't know a guru, God guru. They'll show up when it's right. One time I was in a deli when I was still eating cheese, and I went in to get a cheese sandwich. So I'm waiting in line. I get my sandwich. I'm waiting in line to pay for it, and there was this guy standing in front of me. I was just getting. I mean, I don't have these kind of experiences, but I was getting this like waves of something coming off of this guy. And I was fascinated, so I very surreptitiously moved to the side to kind of see his face. And I swear to you, he moved like this. And I thought, he didn't do that. So I'm behind him in line, and I moved to the other side, and he moved like that. And now I'm completely freaking. My mind is going like spinning. So he paid for whatever he paid for. And I put my money, I gave my money to the cashier, and as I'm giving my money to the cashier, this guy turns around and he looks at me and he says, "It's not in the eyes, you know." And he turns and walks out of there, and I was so stunned. I'm trying to leave, but then I'm waiting for my change. And by the time I got out the door, there was no one anywhere to be seen. I just went, oh my goodness. So you just never know what's going to happen.
Yeah, you never know.
Yeah. So
you may try to guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you never know.
Yeah. When Maharaji left the body, I ran around through the jungles in India looking for him, because he said, I'm going to go away where nobody can find me, to this place, where Markandeya Ashram is, actually, Amakantak. And no, couldn't find him. And everybody I said, I'm looking for my guru, blah, 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 blah. And they looked at me like I was crazy. They said, your guru? Your guru is looking through your eyes right now. What's wrong with you? Right over my head. Took a long time.
Amarkantak is a marvelous place.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Kapildhara.
Yes.
Yeah, so beautiful. One time we were walking down, myself and a couple of Westerners and this very old Baba that we were hanging out with. We were walking down the river from Kapildhara through the jungle, along the river. And along this little path by the river, there was a little ashram just staked out with some string around a little kuti. And out in front of the kuti was this beautiful Baba, a very old Baba with long hair, just sitting there like this, very upright. And we walked by, and the Baba we were with, he pranamed to the guy, and then when that old man realized who I was with, this Baba, he said, "Oh, I've been wanting to meet you for so long." And he said, "You know, on full moon nights," he said, first thing he said, "I've asked my disciples not to burn my body until the ants move in. Because lately I've been going into samadhi for so long, they might think I'm dead. You know, so I've asked them, until you see the ants move into my body, don't take it and burn it." He said, "But on full moon nights, I'll be in samadhi, and my eyes will be opened, just as these two beings kind of float down the hill to take bath in the river. One is a yogi about, he said, what did he say? About 15 feet tall, and the other's a yogini about 12 feet tall. And they float down, all they're wearing is a langoti, and they float down to the river. And when they get to my ashram on the way down, my eyes open, and I can see them and have darshan. And I watch them as they go down to the river and bathe. And then as they come back and float back up the hill, when they pass the ashram, my eyes close. Like this. Full moon nights. Amarkantak's quite a place. This Baba would point out these hills to us, and he would say, "This is not a hill. This is a crystal. And inside that crystal, there's a hollow place where a yogi's been meditating for thousands of years." He kept pointing out these places. Very nice. Let's take some questions.
Please don't go to Amarkantak and expect that you're going to find those things.
No.
Because you will find them only if you need to find them.
Be ready to die if you're going to go to these places.
Yeah.
Don't, sell everything you have, or at least write your will first.
Seriously.
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 No. Yeah.
This is not, we're not joking here. This is serious. If you seriously want to go looking for God, you should have all your affairs in order.
Yeah.
But yes, we should move on to other questions and make sure our affairs in order. One question being about the effects of chanting a mantra for Shani, a Shani mantra, and there is a mantra, in fact, written there, Om Sham Shanaishcharaya Namaha, and that is the standard mantra for Shani. And the questioner says, "I have done it, and I feel drawn to it." And that is the if you don't have a saint or a guru or a sadhu or somebody standing in line in front of you in the cheese sandwich shop to advise you what mantra to do, then you should allow the mantra to come to you, and you should feel drawn to it, because remember that a mantra is the verbal incarnation of that devata, that deity. An image like a Shiva linga, or like an actual murti, an actual image. That's the visual incarnation. But this is the actual deity. So if the deity wants to come to you, then you should feel drawn to that. You should feel an affinity. So it's very important to have that kind of intuitive awareness, because that's the only way that you can really align with things like this. So this is the standard mantra for Shani. This is an excellent mantra to use for Shani. And just remember that when the Shani is very demanding when it comes to discipline and humility. So don't recite it thinking, oh, I'm going to control Saturn by reciting this Om Sham Shaneshwaraya Namaha. Just do it as an offering to Saturn, to Shani Maharaj, who represents everything in life that you would like to avoid experiencing, but you cannot avoid it. Kind of like this pandemic, kind of like your own illness and the illnesses of others and the death of loved ones and all kinds of problems that you may have. People telling you how horrible you are and terrible you are and suppressing you, all of these things that you don't want to experience, but are part of the things that you are experiencing in this lifetime. You can say to Shani, who is in charge of those things, I'm finding it a little difficult to withstand all of this and maintain my alertness and attention on the Supreme Reality. I want to worship the Supreme Reality. I want to align with it, but all of my karmas are giving me trouble. Please help me to work through this. And then recite this mantra, and then you're more likely to get a good result, because you have bowed down to Saturn. You've let him know you don't expect things to be done for you. You will work for it. You just want a little bit of mercy. That's all. And if you find it difficult to think about a mantra for Shani, you can always use Om Namah Shivaya, because Shiva controls Shani, Shiva controls Rahu, Shiva controls anything that is problematical. Om Namah Shivaya. Remain calm. Sit on the banks of the Ganga with a funeral pyre burning nearby and acknowledge the Supreme Reality. Om.
Stay calm and repeat Nam.
Stay calm. Repeat Nam.
And if you're doing any practice at all, you can be 100% sure that you already have mercy, that grace is already flowing. Otherwise, you would have no interest in this stuff at all. This is not instant gratification. This is not in the realm of pleasure or pain. This is not what you grow up and learn about from our culture. So if we're doing any practice at all, grace is already there. So you should recognize that for sure. And just try to deepen. I get so many questions like this, and I've come to one of my things I say all the time, which is that the whole path, or 99% of the path, is learning to trust ourselves. learning to listen to our own intuition in an ever deepening way. If we don't trust ourselves, it means that we don't know how to be good to ourselves. And if we don't know how to be good to ourselves, then we're not going to allow the inner blossoming to occur. We're going to keep piling dirt on top of that plant. And even if somebody gives you advice, a teacher of some kind, how do you feel about it is the important thing. Then you can ask yourself, well, why do I feel this way, etc., etc., etc. But still, where is all that experience going on is within us. So if something seems to fit, you go for it. If it doesn't fit, okay. It's okay it doesn't fit. You have to listen to yourself. Maybe it'll fit later. Maybe it'll never fit. But one has to start paying attention to what one feels within, and not what one thinks. It's understandings, epiphanies come from within. Feelings arise from a deeper place about the basic okayness of what you're trying to do. So and there's no problem. Well, there's no making mistakes or being wrong about something. You self-correct as time goes on. That's how you learn who you are. We all have different ways of moving through our lives. And each one of us has to find out what works for us based on what we want, what we say we want from life.
I think that applies especially, I'm looking at one question on the Q&A chart here. I've been doing sadhana for almost 15 years. I wonder how to continue on the path when I feel I'm in doubt of my progress and doing the right practice. Maybe that's normal. It's normal occasionally. Certainly it's normal. We don't have a guru or teacher to guide us on the path. How do we move on? You move on by doing just exactly what Sri KD was saying. You feel your way forward. You ask God, you ask your local tree, you ask the Supreme Reality, you ask you ask the dog, you ask whoever is in the neighborhood that you do trust to give you some advice. And don't ask complicated things. Don't go to the dog and say, should I repeat this 120 times, or should I sit over here? Ask the dog simple things. Is this good or is this not good? Ask the tree simple things. Should I continue or should I not continue? And then align with whatever it is you're asking and just wait and see whether the answer will be a subtle thing. The answer, unless you're having a very unusual experience, you will not suddenly hear a voice from, they say that this happens, Akash, Vani, a voice from the sky telling you exactly what's going on. Probably that's not going to happen to you. But what could happen is you could get a feeling, and that feeling could be, yes, keep going in this direction, or it's time to do something different. But that may not tell you in detail everything that you should be doing different. It may, however, allow you to see that it's time to do something different. And then you can be open to whatever is the next thing that is the right thing for you to do, which may not be obvious and may not be the thing that you find out about immediately. It may take some time, and therefore you have to be patient. You have to be very patient. And that's the beauty of, as in Ayurveda we say, that anyone who is unwell needs to be very patient, which is why people who are unwell are called patients. because if they were supposed to be impatient, they would be called impatients. But no, you have to be patient. You have to acknowledge that sometimes it may take quite some time before you can actually figure out exactly what is the right thing to do.
And it's also possible that you may not think you know, ever, that you're doing the right thing or the wrong thing. You just do what you have to do what you feel like doing. And the real changes that occur in our lives, they really occur under the radar. We don't get to pat ourselves on the back very often about things, because it's the evaluator, the judgmental mind in us, that's being thinned out. So we spend less time in negative states of mind. We don't necessarily recognize that because the evaluator is not so busy anymore, evaluating all the time. And little by little, your own states of mind become less important to you. Am I happy today? Who gives a shit? Maybe I'll be happy tomorrow. I don't care. It's not, you don't think like that anymore. How am I now? How am I now? What should I, you just do your practice, make the effort with as much wholeheartedness as you can, whatever the practices that you're doing, and allow yourself to ripen into a good human being. One that cares about people, one that at least is trying to create less and less suffering in oneself and the world. Don't wait for the skies to open and a chariot of fire to come down and take you away. Because if you do, it'll be the paddy wagon that comes and takes you away to the place with padded cells.
The men in the white coats.
The men in the white coats. There they are.
Which brings me to an interesting question here. In the Ramayana, after Hanuman comes back from Lanka, after finding Sita, a celebration takes place, and the Vanaras, the men of the forest, like Hanuman, we call them monkeys, but they were Vanaras. The question says they get drunk, and what actually is said in Valmiki is there was a grove of fruit trees, and they went in and ate all the fruit, and it's quite possible that some of the fruit was somewhat fermented, and then it's quite possible that they were getting some extra excitement from that fruit, just as many animals get intoxicated when they eat fermented fruit, like elephants. In South Africa, when marula fruit is ripe, then they will eat the marula fruit, and then they will become tipsy, and then they will tip themselves over and tip other things over. And that's where amarula, the well-known cream liqueur, comes from, the marula fruit. So the question is, they are not punished because Hanuman has succeeded at his mission. Could this mean that as long as you do what you're supposed to do, you can go out and get intoxicated? And the answer to that is, what makes you think that this would be a good idea? First of all, you have not come back from Lanka and located Sita and burned down Lanka. And so yes, I mean, you're a young male monkey, and you have to go out and, kind of be excessive for a moment. But then you calm down again, and then it was the very fact that that Hanumanji and his fellow Vanaras were not punished is, in fact, because they had done the job. So yes, I mean, we could argue that perhaps this is the way that human beings should behave also. But I think we could also argue that this is a good thing not to do, even if you do achieve, even if you are able to achieve what you need to achieve, because it was not the most appropriate thing to do. Uh, and Hanuman was able to get away with it because he was completely and utterly focused on Rama. So he was already intoxicated with the name of Rama. The Rama rasa was already in his system. He had already drunk quite a bit of that. And so ordinary intoxicants can't have any effect on him because he's already intoxicated 24 hours a day with the Rama Nama and the juice that comes from that. So once you get to that point, yes, you can take whatever you want to as far as intoxicants are concerned. But before that, it's not the same thing.
Yeah, well, when you can grow as big as a mountain of gold and jump over the ocean and jump back, I don't mind a drink or two. I don't think it's going to bother you.
I think not, I believe.
And also, this is, you know, what Maharaji said when Ramdas gave him the acid the second time. He said, yogis have known about this for thousands of years. For a yogi who knows God, no poison can affect him. So.
Om Namah Shivaya. Do you have another question there, Mr. Das?
Mr. Das, I don't know. Questions? No, I don't. Oh, here's a whole bunch of them. I heard you say once that Maharaji's old devotees saw him as Shiva. Can I explain? Can I talk about that? Well, some of the very old devotees that I met, well, you know, Hanumanji is actually a manifestation of Shiva. He's the manifestation of the 11th Rudra, which is the 11th face of Shiva, Rudra. And but Robbie, you correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which I often am. So the energy of Shiva was sent through the wind god into Anjani, Hanuman's mother, and then Hanuman manifested, came out as holding all that pran. So for most of the devotees saw Maharaji as Hanuman, actually saw him that way, worshipped him as that way. But some of the old devotees like Mr. Tiwari kind of went at a different step, and they actually worship him as Shiva. That's all I can say about it. I don't really know anything more than that. Yeah. There was this one guy who used to come from, very poor, simple man named Vishwambar, used to come from Aligarh to the temple, and he'd bring all his dishes and the arti lamps and all the things, and he would wait outside Maharaji's door, standing like this. And Maharaj would be sitting inside saying, oh, he's out there and he's going to worship, he's going to do his Shiva puja to me, and he's got this, he's got this, he's got that, he's got that. Maharaji would sit there and laugh, and then finally he would come out, and this guy would go, he'd be singing and doing the arti to Shiva, and then he'd be singing, you know, Jai Shiva Omkara, and he would go into samadhi, just standing there, and just tears would be pouring down his face. And Maharaj would say, what happened? What happened? What's he doing? What happened? What happened? It was quite a show. Quite a show. And Tuara used to do, of course, Shiva Puja very regularly, and yeah, and Devi Puja also.
In this context, let me read one more question. When Maharaji said everything is accomplished through the repetition of the name, what did he mean by everything? KD has talked about free will before. If there is no or limited free will, what can we accomplish? Or does the name bring us closer to allowing something like Rama to accomplish us?
You know, Maharaj used to say also that Hanuman Chalisa can change fate, and that every word of the Hanuman Chalisa is Mahamantra, which is the name. But if you do it in order to change fate, probably it won't happen. One must do it with the right bhavana, with the right feeling, the right emotion, the right idea, which is love and surrender and offering.
I think that's a very good way to say it. It can change your fate unless you want it to change your fate, in which case it probably will not change your fate, because you don't have the proper perspective on whether your fate is the right fate for you or not. You want to not, you as an individual, how could you possibly have the proper perspective on it precisely and exactly and perfectly to know how you should be aligning yourself in the world in which you are? You don't have the perspective to do that. You're coming from here. You need to have a much bigger perspective. And that's what you're trying to achieve by reciting Om Namah Shivaya, or by reciting the Chalisa, or anything. You're requesting, you're taking your karmas and you're saying, here are my karmas. I want to serve you as best as my limited awareness can permit me to understand to what that means. Please help me out with that. And please put me in the right place to do what I need to do at the moment that I need to do it. And then, if you need to have your fate changed, if you need to be saved from something, or you need to have something added unto you, then that will happen, because you have put yourself into the service of the universe. Then the universe will say, well, oh, now I have this sevaka here, I have this servant who is willing to employ himself for my benefit for a while. I'm going to allow him to do that, but wait, he needs a uniform, and he needs a paycheck, and he's got to have some clothes to put, some food to eat. So we'll arrange for these things to come to him so that he can do this job, not because he is feeling miserable and I need to take his misery away, but because he wants to assist me, and he can't do that if he's so terrible and miserable.
Yeah. And that's called surrender.
That is very much called surrender.
Surrender is, of course, very misunderstood by us big egos. You know, we think I'm going to have to subsume my will into another's will and be ruled by somebody else. But it's not like that at all.
Not at all.
Not at all. Surrender is the goal and the path. Devotion is the goal and the path. Yeah, there's a beautiful story. One time Ramdas Maharaji was driving Ramdas crazy. Just driving him crazy. He was just pushing every button that was available at the time to be pushed, and maybe some that weren't. So finally Ramdas goes to Maharaji and he sits down and said, Maharaji, I want you to raise my kundalini. Do it. Get it done. Finish me. All right, here we go. Maharaji goes, I don't know anything about that. You know that guru down there, and you go see him. He knows that. He'll do that for you. Yeah, you go do that. Yeah. And Ramdas got angrier. He said, no, Maharaji, I want you to raise my kundalini. That other guy, you know that guy who lives there? You go see him. He knows how to do that. He'll do that for you, for sure. You go, yeah. And Ramdas got angrier and redder in the face. He said, no, Maharaji, I want you to raise my kundalini. So Maharaji stood up, throws his blanket over his shoulder, looks down at Ramdas, and he says, I only know two things, Ra and Ma. And he went inside in the back and left them sitting there. I only know two things, the two letters of the name of Ram. What can I do? There's no one in here to do anything. Ram, that's it. It was really, Siddhima told us that many years later. They heard everything. They were in the room right behind with the door cracked, the windows cracked, and they're listening to everything that happened. Ramdas didn't even remember that. I had to tell him that once, and he said, really? That happened? So yeah, Ram. Surrender. There's no one in there. And yet everything that's supposed to happen will happen. Because it has to. And there's no doer. It's just, it happens. I don't know how to say it as well as other people, but just remember, what do we know? We only have our limited perspective. We don't know what rocks are downstream in our lives, but they know. And when we surrender to their will and the will of God, the harmony of the universe, it allows things to change in a way that's good for us and everybody as well.
I think that is the perfect answer for yet another question. That question being, does aligning with a mantra with full devotion turn ahamkara into kundalini shakti? And the answer to that, of course, is maybe. But if you align with a mantra, which means to the devata, to the deity, to the divinity inside that mantra, if you really align with it with full devotion, you're not going to be able to remember whether you possess ahamkara or kundalini or both or neither or a cheese sandwich. You're not going to know about that. All you're going to know is what you're devoted to, what you're surrendered to. That's what's going to be what you focus on. So it's certainly useful to be aware that you have ahamkara, because we all do. It's certainly useful to know that ahamkara and kundalini are identical. One is focused on manifesting outward pravritti. One is focused on unmanifesting nivritti. But once you get further in the direction of that transformation, you don't want to remain too much aware of that, because you can get caught in some conceptual traps that can be very, very troublesome. So even if that transformation is what's happening, you should not be holding on to the concept that this is what is happening in me, because it's just a concept. It, until it is actually transformed, you can't really, it's that transformation is not something you should try conceptualizing over, because you can't do it. It cannot be done.
Yeah. In some ways, it's so simple. If we would, who is that saint that said, do unto others as you would have them do unto you? If we could do that for 10 seconds, this would be a different world immediately. But how to get the strength to do that, how to get the wisdom, how to get the insight to manifest that, to become that kind of a human being that literally cares about other people more than you care about your own stuff. I was going to say yourself, but that's misleading. So I really think that all spiritual practice, regardless of what the final enlightenment might be, the path is about treating other people, and of course yourself, as you would have them treat you. Because then there's no, why would you, if it's just so simple, really. But not easy, but very simple. We make it very difficult, but that's because we're scared shitless of actually contacting another human being without our defense mechanisms and our all coverings all up there. How to get the strength and the courage to release that stuff and be present with yourself and others.
And that's completely that's the essence of the law of karma. If you love your neighbor like you love yourself, that's the karma that you're putting out. That's what you're putting out into the universe. That's what's going to come back to you. And if you put out fear, fear is going to come back to you. And if you put out anger, anger is going to come back to you. It's the law of karma. It's action and reaction. It's physics. It's built into the fabric of the universe. And all of the great saints have said very clearly, this is why it is so unwise to hold on to these intense emotions that are anything other than devotion and love. That's why it's so unwise to hold on to memories of the past and to hold on to grudges and not forgive people. You're not forgiving people to be nice to them. You're forgiving people to be nice to yourself. By letting it go, you're healing your own self. That person, whatever happens to them is up to them. But you letting go of that means you've let go of it. And once you've let go of it, then there's new and extra space inside you in which the love of God can come and fill. It's not easy, but it is very simple. It's especially not easy nowadays because there are so many people who are confused in so many ways. And I don't know if you've been exposed to this, but lots of people that I know have felt an urgent need to let me know about that there's a giant conspiracy that is that everything, the virus is a conspiracy of all kinds of things. There's the 5G network, and there's Bill Gates and vaccines, and occasionally space aliens are brought into the whole thing. because it can't be something that is just happening as a result of human beings, of our entire species having gone way too far down the wrong road. It can't be that. There has to be some giant evil malevolent brain like Ravana who is in charge of generating this thing to destroy the happiness and freedom of everyone in the world. When in reality, it is our karmas.
We don't need any help.
We don't need any help destroying ourselves. We're doing a great job of that. And the thing, in my opinion, that we need to remember is this is an opportunity for us as a species. This is a species-wide thing. It has happened to everyone in the world at the same time. That's extraordinarily unusual. That may never have happened before in the history of our species in the past 300,000 years. May not have happened. May have. We don't know what happened 300,000 years ago. But certainly, it hasn't happened when there were 7.3 billion of us that at
on
least
the internet.
On the internet. On the internet. Half of the world and 3.5 billion people, 3,500 million people on the internet, and suddenly everyone is immobilized because nature is saying, you know, I want you to think about what you're doing because you're headed down a path that is going to destroy you as a species. I encourage everyone to remember, nothing is going, okay, it's not that nothing will happen to the world. The world is going to survive. Life is going to survive. The earth has been through much worse things. If you study history, you will see that go to you can read about the 5 great extinction events, especially the one that happened at the Permian Triassic junction. It almost everything in the world died off, and yet new things arose. And nature has given us an opportunity to really rethink the entire thing if we don't get caught up in all these ideas of trying to find somebody to blame, whether it's the Chinese, the Russians, the Democrats, the Republicans, whoever it might be. It's us who are to blame. And we need to acknowledge that we have done this to ourselves, and it's only each one of us individually reconnecting to reality that is going to help us get out of this extraordinarily deep hole that we have dug for ourselves. Om Namah Shivaya.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. We have a few more minutes, and when I sang earlier, was the sound okay? Or did
it was pretty good. I mean, there was the occasional wah-wah, but not so bad. Okay. And I think it would be excellent if we were to, just as we began, if we were to exit with the name of God.
So, good. Let's do that. It's 6 minutes is a little bit short. Can we go over a few minutes without causing any disharmony in the universe? Okay. Okay.
As far as I know.
Good. The boss said yes.
Okay. I'm gonna stop my video and mute until you finish, and then I'll come back on.
Paula said she found a solution mid-song. Let us know what that is, okay? Yes, and she's saying, do you want to turn off your camera? Yeah. So please, everybody, turn off your cameras. After the chant, if you want to turn your cameras on for a minute, we'll just have a moment silent and say goodbye to everybody. Sound good? Okay. Here we go. Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Shivaya Namaha. Shivaya Namaha. Shivaya Namaha. Shivaya Namaha. Shambho Shankara Namah Shivaya. Girija Shankara Namah Shivaya. Shambho Shankara Namah Shivaya. Girija Shankara Namah Shivaya. Arunachala Shiva Namah Shivaya. Arunachala Shiva Namah Shivaya. Shambho Shankara Namah Shivaya. Girija Shankara Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Shambho Shankara Namah Shivaya. Girija Shankara Namah Shivaya. Shambho Shankara Namah Shivaya. Girija Shankara Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Shambho Shankara Namah Shivaya. Girija Shankara Namah Shivaya. Shambho Shankara Namah Shivaya. Girija Shankara Namah Shivaya. Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Shambho Shankara Namah Shivaya. Girija Shankara Namah Shivaya. Shambho Shankara Namah Shivaya. Girija Shankara Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Shambho Shankara Namah Shivaya. Girija Shankara Namah Shivaya. Shambho Shankara Namah Shivaya. Girija Shankara Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Namah Shivaya. Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah. Om Namah Shivaya, Namah Shivaya, Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Namah. Shambho Shankara Namah Shivaya. Girija Shankara Namah Shivaya. Shambho Shankara Namah Shivaya. Girija Shankara Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya, Namah Shivaya, Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya, Namah Shivaya, Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Namah. Shambho Shankara Namah Shivaya. Girija Shankara Namah Shivaya. Shambho Shankara Namah Shivaya. Girija Shankara Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Shivaya Namah Shivaya Namah Shivaya Namah.
Om Namah Shivaya.
Om Namah Shivaya. Thank you, everybody, for coming and hanging out with us. This is how we share our space together, all of us, and help each other find a deeper place to sit in our hearts. So thank you for that.
Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Om Namah Shivaya.